Hi everybody, Steve Griffiths here, developer of the MTPredictor software program. Most of the videos that I do on this YouTube channel is on the USE minis because they just happen to be the favourite markets of mine. But I often get asked, does MTPredictor work on other markets? And yes, we work on Forex, stocks, futures, in other words, any liquidly traded market. So I want to just show you an example on a US stock intraday yesterday, and I want to have a look at Apple on a 5-minute chart. In particular, this TS1 buy setup. You can see this is against a red STF, so this is a particular case of our MTPredictor trade setup, which I call our Holy Grail trade setup, which I'll look at in a second. If I scroll back to the previous day, you can see we had some nice setups here as well, including this standard MTPredictor trade setup into the first target there just before close for a 3.7 hour profit, which was nice. But now let's go to the higher time frame chart first so we can see how this TS1 buy setup sits in our larger time frame. So if we go out to the 15-minute chart, there's my analysis on there from earlier. You can see that we had a TS4 buy setup unfold here earlier in the day. So not only did it confirm the large degree trend was up, but it also gave you an indication that the large degree trend was actually turning at this level. If you wanted an advance notice of this, you could replace the DP on from the prior pivot. This is what we suggest people do. Remember, these DPs are leading indicators, so they're on the chart in advance before the market gets there. So you can see here you had advance warning that there was potential support coming in, and in this case the market was finding a low at this particular level. So let's now go down to the 5-minute chart and have a closer look at that. Remember that not only did we have support on the 15-minute DP, but also we had this TS4 buy setup come in as well, again giving us two indications that the large degree trend was up. Now let's go back to the 5-minute chart. So how does this change our view of this TS1 buy setup? Well, because we are having support at our higher time frame or larger degree support zone, in this case our 15-minute DP, this would be deemed what we call an important low. We then had an initial rally off this important low. In Elliott wave terms, this would be classified as a wave 1. We then had an initial correction off the initial move. This would be classified as a wave 2 in Elliott wave terms. Ideally, we're then looking for this wave 2 to subdivide into a minor ABC. So if you now place the analysis on this particular TS1, you can see there's our minor ABC pattern. So how does that change our initial analysis? Because this looks to be a good trade anyway, to a potential profit of 5R at the first target. Well, because we're anticipating this is a wave 2, remember we do that because we're anticipating, or because we had higher time frame support at this initial low. Remember, this came in on the 15-minute chart, therefore this would be deemed an important low. Initial rally, wave 1, initial correction, wave 2, therefore we're anticipating the rally to go to the typical wave 3 WPT, in other words unfold as a strong wave 3 type of rally. So our target would actually be up here all the way at our typical wave 3 WPT. And as you can see, Apple rallied nicely and actually made a high, or made that typical wave 3 WPT high just before the market closed. So what's so good about these Holy Grail trade setups? Well, it's not that they have a higher reliability, it's because when the profits come in, they're large in relation to the initial risk. Here you can see the profit was 13 times greater than the initial risk here required to take the trade. Now, if you think that this number of shares is too many, this would produce an initial risk of $100. Sometimes this can be a little tight for some accounts. You can go to our preferences, you can click on risk profiles, and under this we have different risk profiles for different asset categories. So if you click on stocks, you can say, well, actually intraday stocks, I want to risk say 0.1% of my portfolio. I'll just save that, and as you can see, it instantly changes the number of shares that it suggests you trade. So in this case, we've now gone down to 0.1% risk, and you can see that's reflected up there in our information on the top of the chart there. So in other words, here you'd have been trading 285 shares for an initial risk of $20, which is 0.1% of a $20,000 account, and that would have turned your $20 initial risk into a profit of 262. In other words, approximately 13 times greater than the initial risk. This is what's so good about correct position sizing, and in particular the Holy Grail trade setup, because the profits are large in relation to the initial risks. So I just wanted to do this video today just to show you that MTPredictor works equally well on all markets and time frames. The only proviso I'd say on that is you have to have a liquid market, because as with any trading, you really want to have markets where you can place your orders easily, and that means a liquid market. So Apple is a great example of this, being very highly traded. So I just wanted to show you this as a great example of not only MTPredictor working on a US stock, but a US stock on a short time frame, and in particular a Holy Grail trade setup that unfolded very, very nicely indeed.